Once you graduated college, you're going to want to move on to try and get your PhD. But the first place you have to go in order to do that is grad school. While a master's can get you a few jobs as an English professor, the vast majority of them will require you to have a PhD. So you're going to want to get something called a non-terminal master's. This is essentially a master's degree that you get that's designed to help you more quickly get to your PhD. Another reason why it's important to get your PhD is because most of the places where you go to grad school will more prioritize you if you want to get a PhD. So PhDs can help you get better jobs and can help you get into better grad schools in order to get those PhDs. Very nifty. After you acquire your non-terminal master's, you're going to want to go to your PhD. Now, this thing is kind of a beast, I'm not going to lie. There's a reason why not many people get one. It takes a long time, sometimes up to 5 or 6 years, and it covers a lot of material. One thing that you'll be expected to do in getting your PhD is take comprehensive exams. Now, these exams are different from, say, maybe a final that covers the entire semester of what you learned in a class. These exams cover entire literary canons. For example, instead of taking an exam on just one of the great American literature books of the 20th century, you would need to know every single great American 20th century work of literature for an exam. That's comprehensive. Another major part of getting your PhD is something called a dissertation. Dissertations are essentially massive research projects that you'll have to complete before getting your doctorate. Dissertations are often book-sized. Some are at the very minimum 190 pages. However, one of the professors that I spoke to said that their dissertation was close to 400 pages, and that's really the goal that you should be going for as far as page numbers are concerned. Dissertations are long projects, and they should read like a book more than a research paper if you want to do one good. But here's the thing. Once you write your dissertation, you're a doctor. You've done it. You've gotten your PhD. Unfortunately, due to the time constraints of this video, we won't be covering how to get a job as an English professor, so you'll need to pause the video, get employed, and then come back once you have a job. Please do so now. Okay, now that you've gotten a job, let's talk about the 2 different types of work that you'll be conducting as an English professor.
This work can be divided up into inside and outside of the classroom tasks. Let's start with outside of the classroom tasks. These primarily make up research and service to your field. Research in the English field is really just conducting research. This can be writing books, writing articles that are being published in academic journals. Really any kind of scholarly, peer-reviewed research is going to be counted as beneficial to your field.
The next aspect of your out-of-class tasks is service. Service is essentially how you contribute your physical body to the field of English. For example, you could join an organization like the Hemingway Society, whose mission is, and I quote, "For the purposes of awakening, sustaining an interest in, promoting, fostering, stimulating, supporting, improving, and developing literature and all forms of literary composition and expression."
If you do choose to join an organization, your service within that organization will be to carry out that organization's mission, however your position within that organization allows you to do so. With this in mind, it's important to join an organization whose mission you think is important and one that you're enthusiastic about and want to get behind. However, while your research and service is a major part of your job and a huge part of your success as a professor, there is one more job that you as a professor have that is far more important than the tasks of research and service put together. And that job is teaching. The next part of your job as an English professor are your in-class tasks. Again, this is just also known as teaching, but you have to have a certain set of skills in order to do your teaching job effectively. We're going to go over those now. The 2 types of skills that you need to have as a teacher are hard skills and soft skills. We're going to go into depth about what each of those are. According to waldenu.edu, hard skills are job-related competencies and abilities that are necessary to complete work, while soft skills are personal qualities and traits that impact your work. While there are endless hard and soft skills that we could lift off that you as a professor could use to best teach your classroom, we're going to focus on some of the major ones in each category.
Starting with hard skills, the first hard skill that you'll need to know is technical fluency. This refers to knowing how to use computer software. As a professor, you're specifically going to need to know how to use something called Learning Management Software, or LMS. LMSs are things like Blackboard or Moodle, which is what As You Learn is on. LMSs are used to give assignments, give back grades, and really anything else that you can think of that has to do with managing a classroom. For these reasons, it is imperative that you as a professor know how to use learning management software, as it is paramount for your classroom's efficiency. Another hard skill that you as a professor should have in your classroom is a command of your field. While this doesn't sound like a skill, it is technically a job-related competency, so we're going to include it. A command of your field is essentially a complete understanding of what you're teaching. This is also an important skill to have in the classroom, because if you're teaching a class on a subject that you don't know, then I would argue you're not even teaching the class anything. You're really just talking at a group of people at that point. Now let's move on to soft skills. Most of classroom teaching is just an interaction between the teacher and the students, but you're more than just a conveyor of information to your pupils. You're a mentor. Whether you realize it or not, these students of yours will look up to you. In other words, as much as you are a teacher of students, you're also a leader of people. And soft skills can help with this interaction. 3 big soft skills that do this are organization, communication, and personability. Let's start with organization. An organized classroom not only allows the teacher's teaching to go more smoothly, but it also allows for the students' learning to go more smoothly too. For example, if you want to understand in a classroom what you're trying to accomplish by teaching that class, you can first assess where your students are, where you want them to be by the end of the semester, and then organize your entire class around getting them from point A to point B. Communication is another very important soft skill to have as a professor. Obviously, communicating entails clearly and efficiently conveying your taught subject to your class. However, it goes deeper than that too. Good communication means making sure that assignments are clearly conveyed so that the entire class understands exactly what they're doing, as well as making sure that the class is properly communicated class expectations and due dates for assignments as well. Proper communication through your email is another aspect of how communication can be used by you as a professor. The final major soft skill that you should have as a professor is personability. Personability might be the most important skill that you can have as a professor. As previously mentioned, teaching is really just a relationship between a teacher and a student. As a teacher, you want these relationships to be strong, positive, and fruitful. And the skill that allows for this type of relationship to occur is personability. As a professor, it is your personability that creates the vibe and the overall tone for the classroom. Therefore, how you participate in the class will determine how your students most likely will participate in the class too. Because of this, doing things like making sure that you have set up an exciting learning environment can be great for stimulating students to want to be able to learn more and more effectively as well. Make sure that in doing this, you don't fall into the pitfalls of being maybe deflated by the end of the day. It's understandable because you might have taught the same subject 4 times in one day, but remember, each new class that comes in is ready to learn. You need to meet them with that expectation. Another thing is making sure that you have a safe space set up, making sure that students feel empowered and comfortable sharing and participating in your classroom. Doing so can bolster student activity and therefore student learning too. Another great way that you can be personable within your classroom is by having patience and understanding with your students. This can be difficult, as oftentimes professors have over 100 students that they're teaching every day. However, it's important to remember that your students, just like you, have their own personal difficulties and life problems. Coming at students with this understanding and patience perspective will allow you to establish a more positive and strong relationship with them. This will promote learning in a more positive and strong way as you continue to teach them throughout the semester.